Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Boss Economics World, where we rip the veil off the economic circus and expose the clowns running the show. Today, we're diving into a steaming pile of economic despair, courtesy of the latest Federal Reserve Bank of New York survey of consumer expectations. Buckle up, folks, because if you thought the economy was a roller coaster, you're about to find out it's actually a dumpster fire. And guess who's holding the matches? Spoiler alert, it's your friendly neighborhood government. Here's the headline, folks: U.S. consumers are waking up to the harsh reality that inflation isn't just a buzzword, it's a sledgehammer to their wallets. According to the New York Fed survey, median expectations for year-ahead inflation ticked up to 3.1% in February, up from 3% in January. Now, I know what you're thinking, boss, 0.1% isn't a big deal. Oh, sweet summer child, let me school you, this isn't just a number, it's a symptom of a much bigger disease. And the doctors? They're the ones who caused the infection. Let's break this down, point by point, surface to core, because this isn't just about inflation expectations, it's about a government asleep at the wheel, steering us straight into a recessionary ditch. First up, inflation expectations. Sure, the 3- and 5-year outlooks are holding steady at 3%, which the Fed is desperately clinging to as a life raft. Oh, look, long-term expectations are stable, we can ignore the chaos. But here's the rub, folks, short-term expectations are rising, and that's where the rubber meets the road. Why? Because when consumers expect higher inflation, they start acting like it's already here. They hoard, they panic, they spend less on investments and more on survival. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and the Fed's just sitting there, twiddling its thumbs, hoping we don't notice. Now, let's talk about why consumers are expecting higher inflation. Could it be, I don't know, the government's brilliant economic policies? Let's start with the elephant in the room, tariffs. Our fearless leaders, in their infinite wisdom, have decided to slap tariffs on America's largest trading partners. Make America great again, they say, while jacking up the cost of everything from steel to soybeans. According to the Peterson Institute for International Economics, Trump-era tariffs have already cost American consumers $40 billion annually in higher prices. And guess what? Those costs don't just vanish, they compound. The latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that import prices rose by 1.4% in the first quarter of 2024 alone, directly feeding into inflation. But hey, who needs affordable goods when you've got national pride, right? And don't even get me started on the immigration crackdown. Look, I'm all for secure borders, but let's talk economics, not politics. The American economy is built on labor, cheap, flexible labor. When you choke off immigration, you choke off the workforce. The National Foundation for American Policy estimates that deporting 1 million undocumented workers could shrink U.S. GDP by 1.5% over the next decade. That's not just a statistic, folks, that's fewer jobs, higher wages, which sounds great until businesses pass those costs on to you, and yes, more inflation. The latest data from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce shows labor shortages in key sectors like agriculture and construction are already driving up costs by 15% year over year. But hey, the government's got a plan, blame the Fed. Speaking of the Fed, let's talk about their role in this mess. The Fed's been playing a dangerous game of look-through with inflation. Oh, it's just tariffs, it's just supply chain issues, it's just a post-COVID blip. But here's the problem, folks, consumers aren't looking through anything. They're looking at their grocery bills, their gas pumps, their rent checks, and they're panicking. The New York Fed survey shows Americans now expect faster price growth for gas, food, medical care, and rent. Gas prices, according to AAA, are up 12% year over year as of March 2024, with the national average hitting $3.85 per gallon. Food inflation. The USDA reports a 5.8% increase in food at home prices in 2023, with no signs of slowing down. And rent? Redfin data shows median U.S. rent hit $2,054 in February 2024, up 8.1% from last year. But sure, Fed, keep looking through, we'll just be over here, drowning in debt. And here's where it gets really ugly, folks. Consumers aren't just worried about inflation, they're terrified about their own finances. The New York Fed survey shows that 27.4% of respondents think their financial situation will be worse off a year from now. That's the highest level of pessimism in 15 months. And get this, the perceived chance of missing a debt payment in the next 3 months jumped to 14.6%, the highest since April 2020, when the world was in full-blown pandemic meltdown mode. Why? Because the government's economic mismanagement has left people hanging by a thread. The latest data from the Federal Reserve shows household debt hit a record $17.5 trillion in Q4 2023, with credit card balances alone soaring by 13% year over year. But hey, at least the stock market's doing great. Oh wait, no it's not. Let's talk jobs, because this is where the government's failures really shine. The survey shows workers are more downbeat about their job prospects than ever. The average probability of quitting a job, a key indicator of labor market confidence, fell to 17.6%, the lowest since July 2023. And the odds of finding a new job after becoming unemployed? They're tanking, too. Meanwhile, the probability that the unemployment rate will be higher a year from now jumped to 39.4%, the highest since September 2023. Folks, this isn't just a blip, this is a neon sign screaming recession ahead. The latest Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows job openings fell to 8.8 million in February 2024, down from a peak of 12 million in 2022. And with the government's tariffs and immigration policies choking off growth, businesses are tightening their belts, not hiring. And if you think the stock market's going to save us, think again. The survey shows consumers are dimming their outlook on stocks, with the expected probability of higher stock prices in a year hitting its lowest since December 2023. Why? Because the market's finally waking up to the reality of government-induced chaos. The S&P 500 has been flatlining in 2024, with volatility spiking as investors brace for a potential recession. The latest data from the Conference Board shows the leading economic index fell by 0.4% in February 2024, marking 7 consecutive months of declines. But don't worry, folks, the government's got a plan: tax cuts for the rich, anyone? So, let's recap, shall we? Inflation expectations are rising, consumer confidence is tanking, debt is exploding, jobs are disappearing, and the stock market's on life support. And who do we have to thank for this economic masterpiece? That's right, the government. Tariffs, immigration crackdowns, and a Fed that's more concerned with optics than action. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how you drive an economy into the ground. But hey, at least we've got Boss Economics World to call it like it is. That's all for today, folks. If you're an ordinary Joe worried about your finances, or a finance pro trying to navigate this mess, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and join the Boss Economics Army. Until next time, keep your wallets close and your government accountability closer. Boss out.